All right. Okay. So this is Take Control, Reach Your Goal, Week 3, Sustaining Hypertension Control. So far we have learned what high blood pressure is, or hypertension. We have talked about the different categories, and we've kind of just summed up overall what we need to do to control that. We've understand the side effects and what the long-term effects of having uncontrolled blood pressure. And I know last week, Miss Holly dove in a little bit more about med adherence and understanding some of the medications and why it is so important to take those as directed or to communicate to your provider if not. So this week, we're going to dive in a little more about sustaining hypertension control. And I also know that last week you started a video and you met Emma. And today we're going to follow up and check in on Emma and see what she's going to do with the news that she learned after she got her physical. So we're going to talk about the consequences of ignored hypertension before we watch the video. I apologize. And we've kind of touched on these briefly before. But each week, we just try to dive in a little bit more. But uncontrolled high blood pressure increases the workload on your heart, leading to that muscle thickening and the heart disease. This condition also heightens the risk of osteoporosis, where your arteries are narrowed and hardened, and it significantly increases the chance of heart attacks. Furthermore, hypertension can cause the blood vessels in your brain to burst or clog, leading to strokes and damage to the kidneys, and to our eyes and to the other organs in our body. And we've kind of touched on this. But so today, let's do a follow-up on Miss Emma.
Like millions of Americans, Emma was living with high blood pressure and didn't know it. There were no early warning signs or symptoms. But Emma's heart was working overtime, putting her at risk for heart disease and stroke. Following a physical, Emma was diagnosed with high blood pressure, also called hypertension.
People of all backgrounds can develop high blood pressure. Treatments differ based on risk factors including age and family history. But hypertension can often be controlled with healthy habits and medication when necessary. Eating more fruits and vegetables, following a low-salt diet, exercising regularly, and quitting smoking are often the first lines of defense to control high blood pressure. Your doctor may prescribe one or more medications to help lower your blood pressure to normal. Some rid the body of extra sodium and water. Others reduce the heart rate or relax the blood vessels. Always take medications exactly as prescribed, and don't skip doses. While medications can effectively lower blood pressure when taken correctly, each type has potential side effects for some people. You might feel tired or have trouble sleeping. You may experience a dry cough, stuffy nose, leg cramps, frequent urination, or headaches. If you have side effects that don't go away with time, don't just quit taking your medication. Talk with your doctor and pharmacist, as there may be other medications or different doses that can control your blood pressure and have fewer or no side effects. Focus on the benefits. Taking your medication regularly will lower high blood pressure and protect your brain, heart, and kidneys from life-threatening consequences like stroke or heart attack, often the first scary signs of hypertension when left untreated. Control your blood pressure and reduce your risk by knowing your goal numbers
and monitoring your blood pressure at home or at your local pharmacy in between doctor's visits.
How's Franny?
She just graduated from obedience school.
Pharmacists play a key role in working with your physician to improve blood pressure management. We can address medication concerns and challenges. So talk to us about your treatments and goals outlined by your doctor. If taking your medication feels like a chore, don't just stop taking it. We can counsel you on working through side effects or determine when you need to see your doctor about possible changes in your medications. And we'll share healthy lifestyle tips to keep you on track. Whether you monitor your blood pressure at home or in the pharmacy, we're here to discuss your numbers and provide guidance. Okay, Emma, you're all set. I'll see you back here soon. Visit millionhearts.hhs.gov to team up with your pharmacist to bring your blood pressure down.
All right, so that's a follow-up on Emma, and we will continue to follow her throughout our class. But so let's talk about, so I think that just really kind of summarized even more of last week on the importance of taking your medication and how important it is to have those conversations with your provider, but also don't forget, you can have those conversations with your pharmacist as well. They're a great resource to tap into if you have questions about side effects and or how to maybe take your medication if you're taking medications that maybe you've read that shouldn't be taken before certain things. So just don't forget about that resource that you have as well at your pharmacy. Sometimes they may direct you back to your provider, but there are a lot of the questions that they can answer for you. So continuous control of your blood pressure is not just about avoiding immediate dangers. It's also about preventing progressive danger to your organisms. And that's why, too, don't forget, we call this the silent killer, because many a times there are things going on underneath within our body that we're not aware of, or maybe we don't even feel the side effects or the consequence of it. So consistently managing your hypertension significantly lowers the risk of developing serious cardiovascular disease. This sustained effort can safeguard your health long-term by demonstrating why regular monitoring and adherence to treatment plans are vital. So blood pressure and organ health. Managing your blood pressure effectively plays a key role in protecting various organs. And I know we've already touched on this some, and sometimes you may feel like it's just repeat of information in this class, but we have 4 weeks, 30-minute sessions, 4 sessions to really hit home. And there's so much that we could cover, but really want to drive in to make sure that you understand and you're aware of what hypertension is and why it is so vital to get it managed and keep it under control, because there's so many effects that can happen. Like I said, that just kind of pop up one day, and all the time you thought your numbers were doing, okay, well enough. Actually, there was causing a lot more damage than you realized. So keeping that blood pressure in check reduces that workload on your heart and prevents from the thickening and becoming stiff, which is going to maintain those coronary arteries. For your kidneys, controlled blood pressure protects those vessels that filter your blood, preserving those kidneys, and slowing the progression of any kidney disease. Additionally, we manage our blood pressure. When we manage it well, we reduce the risk of stroke and supports cognitive function while also protecting against damaging our eyes, such as retinopathy. And we covered that, I know, in the first week when we talked about, how important it is to keep our blood pressure control, to keep our eyes healthy as well. And I think sometimes that's overlooked. So all of this is just connected together, and it plays such a vital role on your whole entire health. Another aspect I think we don't think of very often is for vascular health. So vascular health is fundamental to your overall well-being. Healthy blood vessels ensure the efficient delivery of nutrients and oxygen to every part of your body, supporting the optimal organ function. The endothelium, or that lining of your blood vessels, that plays a critical role in this process by regulating vessel dilation and health, influencing blood clotting, participating in immune response. So sometimes we forget about that. We forget about the effects that has on that. So keeping that endothelium healthy helps maintain integrity of your vascular system. So long-term lifestyle maintenance. Again, sometimes, you can go in, you'll be diagnosed with high blood pressure, and maybe you're overweight and you've dropped some weight and your numbers are so much better and you don't require medication anymore. But still, it's a long-term commitment. You could easily gain that weight back. You could easily require more blood pressure medicine down the road. So it's one of those things that you need to make a commitment to long-term. It's just not something you jump on the bandwagon, you do for a couple of months, you get your numbers where you are, and you really think, I'm good. I don't have to focus or worry with this anymore. But maintaining that healthy lifestyle is crucial for managing hypertension, but also along with so many other health conditions. Today, we're going to discuss those common challenges like adhering to the recommended diets, particularly when we're dining out or finding time to exercise amidst our busy schedule. I know that's probably a really big thing is we don't have time, right? I hear it all the time. I'm too busy. I don't have time. And the difficulties of consistently taking medications. Again, I forget. I forgot to grab them, or I didn't get by to get my refills. There's so many different excuses and such that happen for that. And I'm being honest and can relate to that, all of that, 100%. It happens. But we want to explore strategies to overcome these challenges, ensuring that you can maintain these healthy behaviors long term. And you guys, that's with anything that you're working on, whether you're in a class for hypertension, whether you're in a class for obesity, whether you're in a class for your mental health, whatever you're doing, whatever that is, you've got to have good strategies to overcome, because I promise you there are going to be challenges. Life is not easy, right? Always throwing us curveballs. So advanced stress management. We probably could all raise our hand right now if I ask, are we all under stress? Some type of stress. Absolutely. And I'm sure that level of stress ranges differently from person to person, or that type of stress. But stress can significantly affect your blood pressure. When you encounter stress, our body responds by releasing hormones such as adrenaline or cortisol. These hormones are part of your fight or flight response, which is normal. It's crucial for survival in our evolutionary past. But in short term, these hormones can cause a temporary increase in heart rate and constrict our blood vessels. And we just talked about how important our vascular health was. And this can lead to those spikes in our blood pressure. And that's okay every now and then, all right? Again, fight or flight, that's kind of part of just how we're made. But when that becomes chronic, when that stress becomes chronic, it has a lasting impact on your vascular health. So chronic stress can lead to inflammation within our vascular system, contributing to those hard and narrow arteries, which can permanently elevate your blood pressure over time. Because when you watched that video last week and you were thinking about it from the pipes and how our blood is pumped through, when our arteries get stiff and they lose its flexibility, its elasticity, and then it takes more pressure to pump through, then that's going to cause that high blood pressure. So we've got to do everything that we can to take care of our vascular health, and that's part of just understanding how it all works and why it is so important, which is even more why managing stress is crucial for maintaining your healthy blood pressure levels. So indirect effects and management techniques. So I know on that first slide, the first session that we had, I didn't get to do the breathing technique with you guys, but I sent that out. And I really hope you all were able to take some time and practice that. But if not, go back to the email, or if I need to resend it to you, just let me know. I'll be glad to. Or maybe there's something else that you want to try versus that specific technique. There's a lot of great things out there on meditation and just kind of keeping our stress in check. And there's a lot of great apps. And I always tell people too, it's trash in, trash out. If we're surrounding ourselves with nothing but negativity and nothing but just horrible thoughts and things, and I know sometimes we can't control what's all going on in our life, but what we can control is how we react and how we respond to that. And so I always just encourage you to think about it. Trash in, trash out. What are you surrounding yourself? What are you feeding yourself? What are you feeding your mind? And I'm talking about not just actual food. That's so important too, as we're learning in this class, and you've probably learned in others, but also mentally what we're taking in. So all that just relates to how that stress can affect your numbers and why we need to get it under control. So indirect effects of stress, lifestyle choices. Stress can drive unhealthy behaviors such as consuming high sodium fast food. A lot of you or some of you may, like to have a glass of wine or a drink every so often. And then when you're in these high stress situations, you find yourself drinking more, having a glass every night or a couple glasses now to take the edge off from a stressful day. So that's why it's so important to be able to identify when your stress level is going up, because it's going to lead to these unhealthy behaviors. You're going to eat unhealthy more because your body's craving that. You're not going to want to be as active, so we're going to gain more weight. We start kind of getting a little depressed sometimes. Then we don't sleep well. So all of this is going to result to an unhealthy lifestyle, which is going to increase our stress. So we really need to be in tune and be able to identify it and work to get the help that we need. And, if a lot of times you can try different things. Exercise is a great thing, walking, meditation, yoga, Pilates, things like that all just kind of help with you physically, but also mentally. But maybe you find yourself at a pass and you feel like you've tried everything. So I encourage you, if you're that person and you're really struggling with depression or anxiety, then, maybe you need professional help. Maybe you need to seek help from a counselor. There shouldn't be anything to be embarrassed about that. Sometimes just taking some time to talk to someone. I saw somebody once. I was going through something and I didn't realize it. And I just had 2 sessions, but the 2 sessions was just what I needed, because I needed to actually talk, and just for someone to listen and just kind of give some guidance. Didn't need medication or anything like that. So it's not always that. Sometimes it's just having someone, because we tend to keep things bottled up inside, just having someone to bounce those things off of. So I just encourage you, if you're struggling with that, reach out and find some counseling. There's a lot of great resources out there, and know what your insurance covers as well. So stress management techniques, other than obviously getting the professional help if you need some counseling, but you can do cognitive behavioral therapy. And again, a lot of times your counselors can help you with that. But you need to identify and modify the negative thought patterns. And that's what I was going back to with trash in, trash out too. Just got to think about, what are you surrounding yourself with? You need to identify your triggers, and have a way of, have a strategy on how to combat that, or how to prevent as much as you can having those triggers. Teaching those coping strategies for specific triggers, as we were just talking, aiming to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. And that just goes into there's tons of positive podcasts out there. Or if you're spiritual, really just diving into your devotionals, just finding what works for you. And we just need those activities that promote that positive and emotional relaxation. And biofeedback utilizes sensors to monitor psychological function like heart rate and muscle tension. It helps individuals learn to control the responses to stress, potentially lowering that blood pressure. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to, this is the end of our slides, but the one thing I don't really have slides on that I wanted to talk about today is we talk about stress, we talk about med adherence, we touched on the DASH diet, but also know that we live in a fast-paced society and we're on the go a lot, right? And I'm curious to know if you feel comfortable, how many of you actually cook on a regular basis at home? If you want to drop it in the comments or come off mute and talk. But do you guys cook several nights a week? Maybe you are cookers. Maybe that's something you enjoy and you get to do. Some 3 times a week. Very good.
Sometimes 3 times a week.
Miss Patty, 3 times a week, yes. So when you're cooking, or what type of meals are you cooking? And there's no judgment here. I'm just, kind of understanding you guys and all. Are these really quick go-to meals? Do you feel like you're balancing your plate with your vegetables? What type of things are you cooking?
Depends on what the day was like.
Exactly. That's the kind of response I wanted to hear. I get it. And I have kids, and casseroles, lunch friendly. Yes, probably some crock pot meals, especially in the winter, and things like that. And those are all great things. So I encourage you to cook as often as you can. And I know it's hard. And if you have any younger kids, they're probably, covered in sports and all these extracurricular activities, because we're like a culture that just, I don't know, we just go, go, go. We take on more than we should, right? Sometimes just getting back to just the simple days, I think would actually help with some. But, when you're out eating, if you are having to go through and pick things up, do you guys try to grab something at a healthier place, or do you have options nearby? Or are you like McDonald's, Burger King? What are the things when you're not cooking that you're eating? Or you just defend for yourself and grab whatever you can fix at home? Leftovers? Yep. Leftovers. We're a big leftovers, or just, hey, here's a sandwich for you. you know, Sometimes my daughter is 10, and oh my gosh, she's a carboholic, but she can afford that at her age. So it's like macaroni and cheese, and I'm like, oh, it's the worst thing, one of the worst things you can eat. So I get the struggles. I get the real life struggles, and I'm always trying to incorporate the things that I teach as well. But I think one of the things to encourage you when you're out, or when you're home cooking, think about how many vegetables you're serving and where you can start adding a few more vegetables into your meals as a side dish. When you're out and about, picking restaurants that offer that salad or fruit as a side versus just the French fries. I know too, like McDonald's, they're deal meals for their family. They're cheap. You can feed a family of 4 around $20, depending on how creative you get. But it's really just setting back and, yeah, not anymore. It's really about setting back and just having a plan, having that strategy, looking at what's around you, that you are ordering out from. Think about the money that you're spending eating out. Could you take that and maybe do like some of the meal deliveries, the HelloFresh subscriptions? A lot of people say, oh, I can't do those things, they're too expensive. But have you ever put pen to paper what you're spending when you're going out, or all the different trips you're making to pick up things, to see if that's, financially you can do that? Adding the vegetables, adding some fruit, and just start somewhere. Start with one meal. Like I know it'd be hard to just like overhaul everything, right off the bat, especially trying to fill your cupboard, your kitchen, your refrigerator with different selections. But that's the other thing, is think about how you're shopping. What are you selecting? If you have a way to, do the pickups or the delivery, so you can actually kind of see it before, you get it home and you unload it. You can see in your cart. You can see the selections that you're making. Planning your meals ahead. All of these things are great strategies, and they're not a one-size-fits-all, and I get that. And I don't have the answer for everybody. But what I encourage you is to just be conscious, be aware of the choices that you're making, and think about where in your diet right now, where you can make a change. And then start small. Maybe don't overhaul the whole week or all 3 meals that you're cooking. Just take one meal and start there, and start trying to introduce healthier, casseroles or dishes or whatever that you're doing. And then just build on that. Slowly start trying to add more fruit or vegetables into your budget and cutting back somewhere else. And then just build on that. And when you're eating out, go out there, Google, get on the menus, try to find healthier options. If you're out of town, try to do that as often as you can. And when you can't, then that's okay. You make the best choice with what you got in the moment, and you keep going. That's the thing. You just don't get stuck. You don't stay where you are. And that's the same thing with activity or anything else that you're working on. If you're working on stress, if you're working on medication adherence goals, diet goals, exercise goals, whatever it is start small and set those small goals and work on it and reach those goals and then add. But if you have a setback, and I promise you will, something to go wrong, something to go crazy, the schedule at work, at home, it's just going to be crazy weeks are going to come in ahead, especially with warmer weather. But just don't get stuck and stay there. All right? Identify where you messed up that day, I didn't get as many vegetables, or I didn't do this, or maybe this week, and then constantly working on your strategy and trying to figure out what works best for you, and keep working. Give yourself that grace, because we all need it. We are not perfect, and we are going to mess up, and we're going to have great intentions, and we're going to do good for a couple of weeks, and then life's going to happen, and you're going to oh my gosh, I fell off the wagon. I've been eating junk, I've been stressed, whatever it is. I didn't get to the gym. I didn't get to do my exercise at home. It rained all week. I didn't get to go walk. Whatever that is, there's always going to be something. But you just have to figure out what's important, why it's important, and just keep working at it. Keep working. And when you find things, share it. Share it with your colleagues. Share it with your family and friends, just to kind of build that as well. And then it's always great to have an accountability partner. If you're setting exercise goals, or you're trying to cut back on your soft drinks, or whatever it is that you've set for yourself, put it out there. Share it with someone that is going to call you out on it. That someone's going to, have a great friend or family that's going to love you and going to give you some grace, but they're going to call you out when you just keep making excuses and making excuses. So any questions? Anybody want to come off and share anything, or ask a question, or, give a praise or anything like that this week? Does anybody have something they're really struggling with any of this, their diet, their exercising, their med adherence, anything like that you want to ask? All right. Well, we're almost 2 minutes to 12:30, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Some other just little tips I'll throw out there last minute. If you are borderline, or your numbers are staying borderline, I really encourage you to make sure when you're taking your blood pressure, you're going through and making sure you're doing that correctly. Making sure you haven't had a big cup of coffee or an energy drink or something like that. That you're keeping your feet flat on the floor, you've emptied your bladder, you're taking 5 minutes if you can, and even again, have the 5 minutes before your blood pressure is taking. Really sit there, do some slow breathing, deep breathing into your nose, out your mouth, really kind of calming that down. And I think you're going to see sometimes people that live right there on it, if they really go through all that, they actually have better numbers. So if you're going into the clinic and they're just popping that cuff on you and you've had a stressful day, it's okay to always ask them to repeat that number at the end. And I always use it as a challenge to see how low I can get it, or how I can get my heart rate down. I'm just one of these, I like a good challenge. So you just, I'll use that. How low? So I'll be let me sit here and take a few good deep breaths. And as they're taking before they're taking my blood pressure. So things like that. So if someone's just borderline, and you don't feel like you really have an issue, but you're always just right there on it, maybe it's just the way they're taking it, or maybe you're a little anxious before it as well. All right. Thank you, Miss Amy. All right. So no other questions today. If you think of anything, let me know. I also wanted to give a shout out to our registered dietitian. We have one available. If you guys are interested and would like to have a phone meeting with her, or a Teams meeting, I could send that over to her, and she could talk to you about meal planning or just diet in general. Maybe it's not so much related to your blood pressure. Maybe it's just general lifestyle, eating healthier, or diet, or maybe you've got something else going on. But just wanted to let you know we do have that available. So if you're interested, let me know. You can shoot me an email, put it in the chat, or let me know next week. And next week's our last week. So I hope everybody has a great week. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and let me know if you have any questions. And I guess I will see y'all next week.